Welcome to Leaf Sales with Ian Nethercott and Larry Feldman live.
If you look at the last 4 years, Ian, we've answered 41 million phone calls for dealers over the last 4 years with our AI platform. We've also handled over 150 million text messages. And so when you look at just those raw numbers, that's a 4-to-1, 3.5, 4-to-1 text to phone call. So I don't know. Here's what I can tell you, though. I believe that the customer wants to be met where they are presently. If that is text, voice, video call, if they want to be engaged and engaged instantly.
I've been fortunate enough to be using Numa since square one, but my opinion, I like to meet the customers where they are, because if I choose my preference in terms of how I want to communicate with people, I'm going to eliminate a large portion of my potential customers. The customer calls in from the outside. There doesn't have to be a person on the other side of the conversation, and it will be a transcribed, recorded transcription of the message, which is important, and it's real time, 365 days a year. So we don't lose anything. The customers that prefer the phone and the customers that prefer the text may be two different people, but the nice thing about like Numa as an example is you got both of those people in one spot.
All righty. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And if you missed show from last week, we have the replay up, so you can check it out. We couldn't stream it live, but hopefully we'll fix that next year, because I'm working on possibly a partnership with one of these big companies who has internet bandwidth, because the bandwidth was horrible. But special thanks to Styx and Radiant Ride for putting up with us, because I know Larry arranged that. So Larry, maybe you can talk about Styx and Radiant Ride.
Styx is just the best gentleman you could ever meet. He's got a fabulous program called Radiant Ride. Last year, myself and Peter Smith jumped in New Orleans, and we did the show from there. And boy, did we have fun with him and his wife. And yeah, just a great thing.
Rock and roll. So I know everyone's recovering from NADA, and I interviewed Russell and Tony T and Stan Shear on the first day. Russell, I'll get that interview edited soon. What's your takeaway, Russell?
Oh my gosh! So it was in my opinion, I didn't even get a chance to hit every. I had a whole outline. I even had ChatGPT that was going to help me, and all it did is make things worse in this particular case. I didn't get it. I mean, everything started out one way and ended up in an entirely different direction. But I can say this: I didn't go to New Orleans because of all the weather stuff, and didn't have a booth this year. But I just hired 2 new guys, and they hired them from another company. They're extremely good and know a lot of people. So, but they're both drinking through a fire hose. So we spent a little time together, but mostly everybody doing their own individual stuff, having conversations, setting things up, etc. And so I found the atmosphere to be different than any other, and I've been to a lot of NADAs. Different. This is the best networking event I ever had. I did more without a booth than I would have ever done with a booth. But the tempo. Dealers weren't avoiding vendors. It looked like everybody was just having a good time and interacting and networking and saying hello to new friends and old friends and connecting with etc. And I also realized that the biggest talking points were data and AI, and there was much more of a focus on fixed operations more than I've ever seen. I thought people are starting to pay attention to fixed operations in a way. It's like the light just went on. And I think it's going to be booming for all of us in that realm for the next 5 or 6 years, if not beyond that. But when I talk about AI, everybody's AI. There's everybody's playing off of AI and all that kind of stuff. Well, data is the new currency, and clean data specifically. And when you talk about AI doesn't work without an enormous amount of data. I'm going to remind everybody that microprocessors are 100,000 times faster than the human brain. So it requires a lot of data. And that seemed to be that and used vehicle acquisition from the service department. Those were the two biggest things I think that people were involved in conversations on. At least that's what I got from it.
And actually, the interview we did, Russell, at the show, one of the gentlemen that was sitting watching us, and my wife introduced you to, he's on the NADA board as a dealer, and he had all kinds of questions specifically after the interview about data and privacy and hacking and a bunch of other stuff. So I'll probably do an interview with him. He's a pretty interesting cat. But the other thing that I took away from this time at NADA was if you're in Vegas and you're eating at restaurants, eat off strip. I went to this restaurant called Capo's, which was an experience, but also was some of the best inexpensive food I've had on the strip or in Vegas, period. It's a little bit abusive because it's a speakeasy, but it's a great restaurant. And literally me and my wife ate for less than $110. Including, yeah, it was crazy inexpensive. So that's my takeaway from Vegas. In addition to AI, but also there was a booth right next to the booth I was at, which was Numa. And here's an exercise on marketing. So they sell those doors, those automated doors for car dealers. And they had a booth at scale, but to your point, Russell, they didn't have the marketing to back it up. So they paid the money. They had the booth location was right near CDK. But they didn't have any traffic because they didn't focus on how they can do that. So they were just hoping people would roll in and buy automated doors, which was, not a good move. Like I felt sorry for him actually. So Eddie, what do you think?
A lot of the same stuff that Russell said. I think it was the best in ADA that I've ever been to. I've been to about 7. And I think last year was so bad that it volleyed and set us up for this year. It seemed like people were eager to be there instead of the same old, oh, great, here comes a guy to talk to me. I'm going to run from him and just to go. I was, like you said, Russell, I was so busy. The only person I saw talk to was Larry. I saw Ian. When I first walked in, Ian, you were the first person I saw, but I didn't recognize you for a second. So I got like 40 feet, looked back and was like, dang, that was Ian. And I planned on seeing a whole lot more. I did. I was busy from the second I walked in to the second I left, and I was wanting to see most of you guys that I know, and I just couldn't get there. People were texting me, "Can you come to my booth?" And I didn't make it to half of them. So it was really nice. I think AI was a little overwhelming. I'm a huge AI guy. I use 4 different AIs every day, maybe probably more that I don't know about, but at least 4 that I pay for, and I know some AI people in Los Angeles that are connected to AI, and they tell me it kind of all comes from the same place that nobody really knows yet. It's just whoever gets it out there first is going to win. But it was kind of saturated with the AI. I still don't know who to use. I'm friends with a couple of AI companies. One of them is Numa, but they both do the same thing, and it's just tough to pick who's going to take care of your business. Like you also said, Russell, I think there is finally, I'll believe it when I see it. Focus on it. I still think that a lot of dealer principals and GMs are so AI people in Los Angeles connected to AI maniacs that they got to have sales win. They can't have sales win. It's the same place that nobody really knows.
There's a lot of I can't hear.
It's going to win.
Is that feedback coming from Larry or somebody?
Yeah, I'm trying to get on through my computer. This hotel room's weird. I'm on from my phone. I'm sorry, gentlemen.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's all right. No problem. So yeah, I think it's finally kicking in that service can pay the bills if you'll let them. I know some GMs that come to a store and the first thing they do is start cutting internal labor rate and raising service labor rate. And I think that takes money away from service on the internal side. I think it runs customers off on the other side by raising the labor rates. There's some here in Dallas that are way too high. We are losing about 70% of our dealership business to aftermarkets, and that's a lot.
Well, yeah, I was talking to Bill Camastro today and yesterday because they had a meeting in Greater New York City area with the Cadillac dealers because they're having trouble selling EVs. Shocking. And he was saying they're losing 5% of their customer base per month right now because the people that are driving a gas car are like, yeah, I'm not buying that EV. There's just no way. So they're having a group meeting today. I'll be able to share some details maybe for Monday next week. 130 dealers are showing up. But he said that the top brass from GM's Cadillac division were basically had no answers. They were like, oh, yeah, we're just going to run this out and hope it works out.
Have you all noticed that in an era where everybody has an iPhone and communication has never been easier, that nobody communicates? That they're so far apart with the fixed and the variable. I've been saying it for years. I'm beating people to death with it these days. That where most dealerships require a demo ride, beyond mandatory should be walking people back to service and saying, hey, folks, if we're lucky enough they're in your business, these are the nice folks that are going to work on your car. Great news. Our oil changes the same prices. Our tires are the same prices. But the cool thing is, if you do it here, you never void your warranty because we use all factory parts. How complicated is that?
And I beat tire prices all the time. I actually did a video yesterday, and one of the comments was on there in big letters. Why would anybody go to the dealership to buy tires when they're 2 or 3 times higher? And I put on there that I haven't been beat by discount tire in 5 years. And I said, and they're not going to wash your car. They're not going to give you free road hazard. They're not going to give you a loaner car.
Eddie, one of the ways you can lie is guilt by omission. Is by not lying, but just holding back some parts of the truth. And the truth is, if people come back to the dealership, the dealers win, the salesman wins, and inevitably the customer wins. Sure. This is a great example of not using the tools you have. Alec, I get complaints wherever I go when it's training, when it's not recruiting and training, there's no business. Well, when was the last time you were in your service department? When was the last time you went to your orphan files? When was the last time you texted 5 people a day and said, call me, I might have 100 hours for you? What do you mean?
Just answer the phone.
Yeah.
I had a customer today. He said, hey, where do I go get I get 2 calls a day from somebody saying, where do I buy a truck? Where do I go for service? And I suggested a place today, and the guy said, I called 3 times and they haven't answered the phone. I said, okay, call these people, and they did. So
yeah, Ian hooked me up with a guy once, and the guy called me up and he said, is this Larry Feldman? I said, yeah. He says, I can't believe it. You answered the phone. So what the hell are you talking about? He says, Ian said that if I called you, you'd answer. I didn't believe him. I did business with the guy. Why the hell should you get a medal for answering your phone? And let me tell you something. If you don't think Steve Jobs is the enemy of society, what he did with this iPhone, I can't get young people to come to a class with a pen. They don't want to write stuff down. They want to type it into their phone, and 8 seconds later, it's like it never happened. By the way, in terms of following up, if you don't mind me jumping off track and then back on for a second, Mr. Shearer, you were kind enough to refer me to Sal. Sal referred me to Ed Milani. And yesterday I conference called with Ed Milani and the guy under him, and we signed up, and I'm going to consult for them.
Beautiful.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
And just so you know, Larry has the last couple hats from the show. Gave away everything I brought. So Larry's got a couple hats for people in his neck of the woods when he sees them. There's literally nothing left from the show. So I'm going to be probably printing another round of stuff, but everything was gone. Like absolutely everything.
I will help you with the hats.
Yeah.
Of course, unlike Ian, I won't be giving them away. They'll be marked up substantially. We'll talk after the show. Hey, guys got to make a living, It's not easy to keep Mike Larkin and Career Changer hats. I have expenses, gentlemen.
Yeah, and they are made by a company out of Texas, and they are branded with all the sponsors, including Career Changers USA, of course. They're a trucker
Hey,
style
Ian,
hat.
I don't want to appear disloyal.
Yeah.
But I love everybody on this damn panel, but I just have a special place in my heart for Eddie because he sat in every one of my classes all day, and nobody does that. So I wore one of his trucker hats.
Yeah.
And damn if I didn't look like a trucker. Eddie, I think you've turned me into a Christian trucker. All of a sudden I have this urge to bowl and drink a beer. I don't know what's quite going on.
That's great. That hat was magic.
So Jeff, what was your opinion of NADA 2026?
Well, it was great to see you and Larry and have dinner with Christian and Joel.
Yeah.
It was a good time. Joel and I think, live parallel lives, man. we talked about a lot of the same stuff. And Eddie, I'd love to talk to you about some of the solutions we have, because we could do a lot more than those other companies you mentioned. But
I didn't want to mention any of them.
He doesn't get paid to mention them.
Eddie, so you're aware, Jeff and I have a relation similar to the relationship I have with you and Mr. Silman, he's just a quality guy. He never pushes anything too hard, but he's got some actually everybody we have on this damn program today are good people. It's really nice when you can gather this many good folks whose brains work and who have a smile on their face. But it wouldn't hurt you to talk to Jeff. Jeff, you'll love talking to Eddie. He's a quality guy, and he does exactly what he says he's going to do when he says he's going to do it.
so from a vendor perspective, and again, we were there in a booth with one of our vendors. It was hard for me, and I didn't spend that much time in the booth, man. I was mobile pretty much the whole time, but I didn't get to meet everybody that I wanted to meet. And Peter Smith and I were talking earlier today, and we kind of did the math and said 2.5 days, which Friday's kind of a throwaway if you're there, because everybody's either hungover or not in the aisles. But you can't go visit, even as a dealer or something. I don't think all the people that you need to, or let alone the vendors that you don't have face to face with in 2 days. I think that was just hard.
Oh, yeah.
And when we were over in the North Hall, so even if you got to make that trek to the West Hall, that's 20 minutes from a guy that walks pretty fast. So and then you get over there and you can't find your guy, and you got to come back. And but it was amazing. I mean, I met some people that I connected with 10 years ago, but never met face to face.
Have you ever met Jeff David Long? Because for anybody that doesn't know, we pulled David Long and his son Alex into the show, Thomas Siderano. Oh, by the way, we got Tony on us. Tony sometimes has to jump off early. Tony, do you have time to hang with us, or you need to throw your input in now?
Doesn't look like he's driving tonight.
No, I do have time, Larry, and don't say I never took you to bed with me.
Yeah, I hope you don't have the flu that everybody got, Tony.
I can't. I went to Las Vegas, and the only thing I brought home was car flu. It's kind of a mind virus. When you get the real flu and you still come on a show like this, I must be freaking nuts.
My partner Hugo was in the hospital on Monday.
Oh man, I literally spent. I have now spent combined probably about 24 hours with a small break today out of bed. But it was good to see you there, Jeff. Good to shake your hand. Hopefully I didn't give you the flu. Ian, thanks for the interview. We appreciate that.
No worries.
And if any of you have met this guy, Christian Youngren, do not go to old Las Vegas with him. Do not go there if he ever invites you down there. But I want to congratulate him on one thing that is amazing. He is now a board member of the Automotive Partners Association. He's the director of membership. So if you're interested in joining the association, reach out to Christian, because it's a new position for him. He's just learning. Hey, I just moved into the red light district, by the way.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting up with me. I'm not 100%, but 40% will do for tonight.
We appreciate it. David is with us, David Rosick and Doug Reeves. Gentlemen, thoughts?
Go ahead, David. Well, I was going to wait for David to go, so I'll go.
You mean thoughts in NADA?
Yeah.
I wasn't there. So I was waiting for the thoughts just from you guys.
David was with me.
The consensus, David.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The consensus was that it was the best NADA either ever or in a long time. There were tons of social connections made, lots of business connections made.
Mm-hmm.
I had unfortunately, there wasn't enough wattage to get the damn Lethal Sales Show live, but we had a cast of characters like we've never had before. I got to hang with Jeff Shearer. I got to spend a lot of time with Dan. Joel Benson and I walked the whole show. It was really good. We're sorry we missed you, and it would have been great to shake your hand for the first time. Doug, what were your thoughts?
Well, I would concur with you. Traffic was great. We were sitting at the Amazon booth. In fact, Jeff came by, got to meet with him, chat with him for a while. That was great. Larry, I saw you walk by several times. I was always engaged, and didn't get a chance to get out and say hi and meet you in person. But great conversations. Seemed like the focus was a lot on efficiency in a lot of ways.
I'm glad you didn't talk to me. I have social anxiety and have a lot of trouble engaging with people, so that could have been awkward.
You did not appear to have any trouble when I saw you. You seemed to be engaging with people every time.
Hallelujah. I'm healed.
Yes, there you go. No, I thought it was a good show. I mean, obviously, for me and for Amazon, there's an awful lot of curiosity. So there was big crowds, and actually, David Long was right next to us in his booth. So he said he was sucking up a lot of business off of us, but no, it was a good show. I liked it.
Amazon had one of the coolest booths in the whole place.
Yeah, the tiki bar thing with the valet I thought was very well executed.
Yeah.
There were definitely some other booths that were interesting as well, but I think for the North Hall, and I spent some time in the North Hall, I was working with Peter Martin, and we were doing interviews of both. So we did about 45 to 60 interviews. I haven't edited them all yet, but there'll be a lot of content going up. And I was able to meet a nice lady from Puerto Rico. I put her video up from NADA if you're curious. She spoke there. Spanish is her first language, but she was really interesting. Also was able to connect with a lot of dealers at the show of various types, anything from Canadian to US to international. But also I was able to connect with a lot of people. The challenge I had was just wasn't enough of me to go around to do all the interviews. So Peter Martin, who helps me with the show on Mondays now and is helping with the marketing as well for the Auto Hub show with our new website and everything else, I was able to shoot some interviews at Experian and a bunch of other companies. But the thing that was really interesting was a couple of the mergers at the show. So if you're not familiar, DMS merged with Priority. So they're a combined company. VinQ has now merged with Van. So they're now one company, which is kind of interesting. I'm sure there was other ones going on that I wasn't aware of, but those are two big ones from the show. The other thing that was kind of interesting was the focus on, I guess, enhance with AI, but also the focus on why should I go this way versus that way. And if you're curious about what Numa was doing at the show, I will be uploading Derek's from Numa's speech at the NADA main stage shortly. And it's something just purely from my heart. There was the gentleman there who spoke. I'll be uploading his video. He was speaking on behalf of the U.S. Cancer Foundation. My wife struggled with breast cancer a couple of years ago. He's raising money for breast cancer. I mean, for cancer in general, I guess, in a generic way from people in the industry. So he had an interesting story about his grandfather and cars that he shared at the main stage, which I recorded, which I'll hopefully get his approval to put up soon. And there's a bunch of other interviews of various types, including some of the folks on the call. I'm sorry I couldn't interview everybody, but next time I'm going to try and plan out more slots so I can get more people in. And we also had a really informal interview day one before everything opened with Russell, Tony T, and Stan Shear, which was quite interesting, that I'll be sharing soon. That was all from me. Go ahead, Mr. Silman.
That was just Tucker saying hello.
Oh, okay.
I watched NADA from afar,
Mm-hmm.
and I was very interested to come along for the ride with Larry. I'm looking forward to we get to talk with Christian on Friday. Christian's going to be on the Big Idea podcast, so that should be really nice. And I'm glad to see that there was focus. Boy, it's needed. And hopefully a lot of the dealers, saw some tools that they liked, and now they want to start bringing it back to their stores because, it's cold and dreary right now in Connecticut and New England. And it's a perfect opportunity to learn new skills and get going, because the future is online, video chats, chatting, texting, and the quicker dealers can get their people, their front line, and the organization dialed in, they're behind the 8 ball. And it's a very simple process of taking customer leads from various websites and various promotions and running them through a funnel that everything connects and everybody can get trained on and everybody can work under one system. It's been around for a long time, and we're connecting the dots. And I do see that the service lane, pound for pound, is the most important part of the dealership today. And it's the biggest one that's neglected. And until the dealers realize that that's their opportunity, that's where we're going to be working. We can do F&I, but no one wants to know about any new F&I products. But certainly we can bring F&I into the service drive and create new opportunities. And that's where you see a lot of the software connecting the unconnected, and it's winning. So it should be a wonderful year, 2026, because it should be a year of connecting the dots and collaborating and building. And so it was enjoyable to watch everybody out there. I can see and get a lot of it from afar, so I don't have to try. It just seems like cramming 2.5 days. Your brain, it's overwhelming, and to gather it, it either needs to be stretched out, or I don't know how they can do it. But you see a lot of people come back with NADA fatigue. It was talking to too many people. But we'll see a lot of good interviews, and we'll enjoy them. So good seeing everybody.
Yeah, I think the expert tip that I had from doing a lot of NADAs is try to get there early so you can do the interviews that you got to do or meet the people you got to meet before the show starts. But more importantly, to your point, it's very hard to get that all done in 2.5 days. If you're there for 3 or 4 days, it's possible. But more importantly, the other expert tip is really focus on the area that you want to focus on. Like, don't just try and see everything. Look at what you're actually looking for and focus just on that. The other thing I thought was really strange this year, which is different than years past, is they mixed up some of the booths that really shouldn't have been next to other booths. Like, I'm not sure why. And then some of the booths that should have been next to other booths weren't. So I think the placement of the booths was also kind of unusual. Like when I compare it to SEMA, they have groupings of booths together so people can get that all done quickly. So they're not having to jump all over the place and run all over the place. That just loses focus, right?
You don't want to have JM&A next to Zurich or everybody fighting over the same clients.
Oh, yeah. I got the tchotchke for the Carfax for $250. It's a bobblehead. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you guys kind of feel like there was a certain theme at that NADA more so than other ones? Did you feel like there was a certain prevailing, desire the dealers were looking for?
I think they were looking for cutting costs and new technology as always, but I think it was more the future is here now. Like AI is ready for preview or ready for the big show. I think that was kind of what I felt when I was talking to a lot of vendors was they were and dealers. They were like, yeah, I'm looking for how I can cut costs and create better experiences using AI or technology or combined. And I think even the big companies, Cox and the others, were doing that. But I think some of them had better success than others because AI is such a muddy space that it was hard for them to stand out against all the other people in the room. Like if the dealer didn't know what they were looking for and we're looking at, say, 20 AI products, they have no idea what was the right product. And that was what I got from that member of the NADA Council, who's a dealer. He has a number of Ford dealers, I think. And he said, I'm worried about data, I'm worried about security, I'm worried about AI. That was his 3 questions. And he was very insightful.
And do you think 2026, there'll be a little bit of a, for lack of a better phrase, calling of the herd for AI solutions?
100%. 100%. I think when you look at the AI companies, not just auto, but in general, it reminds me a lot of the .com era, where there was all these websites and then 2 years later, there were like a handful left. I don't think it's going to be that low, but I think you're going to see a lot either get acquired or go out of business because they just can't differentiate themselves. Yeah.
I thought that same thing. You know, how many of these AI companies there are going to be there next year?
Yeah. There'll be a thinning
Yeah.
of the herd on that one.
Around noon today, I was talking to a guy and I just AI, what are people talking about most from NADA? And I just pulled it back up here. In previous years, the conversation surrounding AI was centered on hype and curiosity. And this year it's aggressively towards operational discipline and consolidation. So
do you think it's going to be more of versus a standalone, we are an AI solution for this one thing versus companies that are implementing AI within their current solution?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Changing so fast. I don't think anybody, well, that's going to be different next year than it was this year. It'll change 3 times before the next NADA.
You know, it's funny because when Ian and I and Peter were talking on Monday, we were saying that the smart companies will probably veer away from calling what they have AI and call it something else as far as the results it produces. Because I think AI is going to get to the point where it's like Kleenex. Everybody's just saying AI, even though it does different things. So it'll be interesting to see how people try to create silos within AI, but maybe give them different monikers in order to be a little bit more precise about what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that, that's a great point, Doug. When you look back, call it 5-6 years, when Stella and Brooke and all these guys were new on the scene, those companies don't have nearly the cachet that they did 5 years ago. And there's a bunch of new entrants. Some are, you know, obviously Toma and Numa, I think, are the 2 leaders in fixed ops, but there's a bunch of other ones. But more importantly, you don't hear much about those companies that sort of landed early, but didn't really know how to pivot and execute and see the value. I think that the dealer's saying, yeah, I like AI, but only if it delivers the value and only if I don't have to understand it. I think that's the challenge dealers have, is they're like, yeah, there's all this noise. What's the right choice, right? I mean, that's what I saw from dealers. They were like, yeah, okay, there's too much. Where should I put my first foot forward, or where should I adapt and pivot, right?
Well, it did seem that it got toned down, that I just expected, you know, AI to dominate, and it was, I'm sure, dominating there, but it was toned down because, you know, dealers, you know, they don't want to hear the hype. You know, as soon as they hear the hype, they put on their, you know, their BS glasses, and but it seemed to gather some control because there's now a lot of very smart people that have figured it out. You know, I mean, where's Mike Larkin? EEAT. So Mike explained EEAT on some of our last, you know, conversations, but I just had a pitch deck and they're talking EEAT. So if you're not following the Google rules, you got nothing. And so when everyone's talking about 80% of the dealers' websites are going to be invisible by AI, that's a scary thing, you know. And if they and you know, dealers, they don't panic, but they don't do anything, and they're going to find themselves, that funnel getting shut off. The faucet's going to go to somebody else because they're going to capture all the leads.
Well, did anyone talk to any of the web providers or any of the DMS CRM providers about what their view on AI is at the show?
No, they've been gatekeepers forever.
Yeah.
So, you know, they want to only, you know, have enough time to build their own AI so they don't have to rely on everybody else. That's the way they've been habitual like that. Or they put in a tax that if you want to let your AI in their systems, that's Reynolds and Reynolds and ABP and CDK. They've been that for years.
And do you think that's changing?
We didn't get any of your input. What do you think, my buddy?
Say on what we're talking about right now, I think the main DMSs, Gary's right. They are not. I think Reynolds and Reynolds has something coming with their new service scheduling suite.
Yep.
That's going to get more advanced in another year. Because because they definitely did it in order to compete with the FSR Plus tool that Ford was coming out with.
Well, they had a
I
lawyer
think-
there. They had a lawyer there. It's talking about
Yeah.
compliance.
I think in general, it was my first NADA, so I really don't have anything to compare it to as far as another NADA.
Yeah.
I've been to other conventions, but I think there's a lot of smaller companies that are trying to partner with other small companies where they can put together their suite of services and then market that as a one set solution. And then any one of the 3 or 4 can sell that tool. I think that's an interesting paradigm because are you really selling your stuff or are you selling a substack of a bunch of different services and now you're in a totally different business than what you were originally in? And I think that starts getting it really mucked up as far as it becomes much more like the front end variable stack in my mind. I saw a lot of people, I gotta be honest with you, I never thought I'd see so many different car wash displays in a freaking hall. And one of them had the oldest sales team known to man, because I don't think there was anybody under the age of 80, and they all had the red sport coat on.
Or massage chairs, right? There
Yeah.
was at least 3 of those, and they were awesome chairs too, by the way.
But they were great guys. I mean, they were moving all the time. They were trying to be engaging. I thought they did a nice job with their display.
And what was it? What were they? They're a car wash service or?
So they could actually retrofit a manual car wash building into an automated car wash, or they could build out a car wash drive-through for you. So they can manipulate an existing facility, or if you have the land resources, they could.
So
build
they
out
have all the
one to spec.
all the brushless washes and things like that where you can just
So
put
it was
in
more
your-
automation, and then they had the
Yeah.
outside vacuum stacks. Is
Yeah.
what I kind of noticed.
Right,
and
all the
that's one of
tools
the things.
needed.
Like in Kansas City, if you're building out the McCarthy Auto Group, if they're going to build a building, they want an off-site car wash on the front street that's open to the public, and they run their detail center out of that. And so,
Right,
yeah,
right.
so it's a
Yeah, it's a community. It's a community involved. You can come in there and just get your car detailed. You can use the facilities. That's a beauty. Those are the winners because that's what they thought they were going to be able to do with charging stations.
Yep.
You were going to be able to go and you were going to be able to utilize the service. You could get a sandwich, but boy, did that blow up. But from your point, customers want a clean car.
See,
Gary, we did
Russell's
that
gonna
like 40
take off early, just so you know. Go ahead.
Yeah,
We did
Russell,
that like
like 4 years ago with the car wash, but we incorporated it with our Automall, with our Starbucks as well. So I mean, people were stopping it, and then our whole front row of the used car lot, or actually the whole front row by the front of our building, was all EV chargers. Now Barrington, Illinois, is a little different. So there was a lot of EV vehicles there, and a lot of our Porsche customers and Mercedes customers and BMW. But I mean, if you think about it, like the length of the frontage of 3 dealerships is kind of the auto mall, and the whole front of that is nothing but EV chargers that people would be plugged in all day. They'd go there, they'd plug in, they go to
And then
Starbucks.
they go into Starbucks and then
Yep,
they
but they're
look at
having
the
their cars
cars.
detailed or cleaned. And just like you said, our car wash was right up by the front of the street. Right the back side of the auto mall next to our Cadillac store. And it was wonderful because everybody would just like stop by. It was a community thing.
I visited with Sonny's Car Wash. I don't know if I can say all that on here, but
Yeah.
they actually could turn your detail into a profit center for your dealership.
Yeah.
And it's good for retention too. So I thought it was pretty smart.
I tried to talk my dealer into buying the car wash down the street from our competitor and then giving car washes for life from anybody that bought cars from us.
Well, that's exactly what they
He
have.
didn't go for it, but I mean,
But
what a
that's
smart idea.
That's a great idea. Gary Rome Hyundai in Holyoke, he made a car wash and a dog wash. So you can, he brought
That's smart.
So he's a very pet friendly guy, and those are the things. The dealers that want to open back up to the community are the winners. It just proves it more and more because
We spent $7 million on our car wash alone.
yeah,
Wow.
Just so you know, it was $7 million. Now, again, our car wash was huge, open to the public. It was for our dealership. We have our detail center there, which is huge. And then we have our photo center in front of it.
oh right,
So
'cause
when it-
usually you gotta have your places where you can take good pictures.
Yep, and we have our turntable there. So
Yep.
you can pull the car in and, do your turntable thing, or you can just close the curtain and walk around it. And we can bring your drone in there and do all kinds of crazy pictures. And it was just wonderful because it was kind of like you could run it through the wash, bring it in the detail, do your vacuum, pop it into photos, and get a car on the lot right away. And we used to just get them cleaned up before we even ran them through the shop.
Yeah.
And that was the other
It
thing I
was
learned
just
from
wonderful.
UVI at the show. They're doing used car appraisals with UVI, but they're also doing photos of clean cars because they're driving them through anyway. 20,000 photos in less than a minute.
Mark, awesome.
Hey, Michael Larkin, we didn't get any of your input, my buddy. You know
Yeah,
we
go
love to hear what
You
your
know,
thoughts
I
are.
haven't heard from our special guest, and I don't know if he just left out. Christian, he was a speaker at NADA, and I kind of want to hear what he has to say as well. Yeah, there he is. Hey. Oh, you can't. I can read lips. Go on. No, I can't read them that well.
I think he dropped his mic.
How about now?
Yeah.
You got me now?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, so it was back to NAD. It was the best one. I've been to probably about 7 of them. Best one I was at, possibly because I was speaking, but also, I mean, that's what I wanted to do. I'm in my element. But I would also say this. I went to the little what are the orientation that NADA put on. And they said that there was a lot of pent-up demand. They had 25,000 people signed up, and they hadn't even finished tallying it. They said there was, obviously bigger crowd than most. By the way, you guys that are tired, they said it's 13 football fields, the north and the south. No, it's 13 football fields each. So we were walking 26 football fields. So yeah, I would say that I got a lot what you guys got as far as the AI buzz. I did take some notes, by the way, and it's funny that you mentioned about not writing anything down there, Mr. Feldman, because I put my notes. So what I did was I hand wrote my notes, and I actually took pictures of this and then just threw it into ChatGPT for the hell of it, right? And so then I took its summary and I threw it up on LinkedIn with a picture of this, and some guy responded, "Wow, that's pretty old school, taking notes." And I said, "Well, I'm going to keep my trusty pen and notebook because there is a 25% retention study show. There's more retention." I gave him all the psychology of why it's a better thing to do. A couple of notes that I've gotten, they're somewhat random, but I'm just going to kind of run through them here a little. So I gave you guys the 26 football fields. 6.2 million vehicles were sold last year. That was up from 2024. We still got 17,000 dealerships. We employed 2 million people. The main stages were good. This John DeBoris guy was pretty good. I thought he was pretty good. Good message. He's a former football player and a magician and had a ton of energy. So I don't know if anybody saw him, but he was fantastic. One of his big messages was happiness is not a decision, it's an emotion. And then he had this thing about play catch with your 12-year-old self. He would pull kids out of the stands and play catch with them. Every game he would take one of the kids out of the stands and play with these kids. So that was a deal. Molly Fletcher, she was okay. She was the what do they say? The Jerry Maguire, the woman Jerry Maguire of sports agencies. As far as AI, there's a question I had for you all, because I know when I was on here several weeks back, I think it was, I'm not sure exactly if it was Jeff that said this. I've got the notes written down, but I don't have his name on it, right? I don't have it in front of me. But we were talking about how AI is really good for like enhancing what you've already got, but asking it questions and trying to let it do research, maybe not so good. It was getting a lot of its information from Reddit. One of these vendors at the Learning Lab said in 16 months, AI search will overtake Google. What say you guys that are AI experts? What's your thoughts on that?
Google's down 40% right now.
Yeah, Google is technically AI. I mean, it's
right,
Gemini.
exactly.
So it's not really going to take over. And it wasn't until the end of last year did Meta allow Google to index all of your posts for individuals and for a dealership's webpage. So like technically you can put a car on your website and it takes 5 or 6 days really to resonate into Google to be found. But you can put a reel right now in Meta and Google crawls it about every 15 minutes, everything on Facebook. So you can put an Instagram post and you can literally hit a hashtag and within 5 mile increments, if you're a dealer that's close to me, I can pull up your reel right through Gemini and it's telling me about it. So it's AI is talking about what you're putting on your social media now. So really what's happening is Facebook is a search engine for Gemini now because of the web crawl that's happening.
Gotcha.
So that's never happened before. And no other AI does that. See, most AIs just either crawl your website or they get their information from Google. So, and most of them are 6 months out of date even. So be careful because AI's first rule is to create human-to-human connection. The secondary is to get you an answer, but it gets you an answer at any means. Russell covered this before and how many problems AI has. It's getting better, it's learning, but your AI and ChatGPT is different than mine. And my Perplexity and my Claude is different than yours too. So Perplexity is better for citations. Claude is better for writing. Gronk is decent for research to a point. Gemini is focused on your websites and yet pulls in information from anything on Meta now and really looks at your reviews. So every AI has a different purpose and you just have to know what its why is.
Things like this are so important, and I push social media so much because right now AI is collecting all this data, all this content we're making right now. So these dealerships that aren't using social media, I think in about 6 or 7 months, somebody's going to go into Gemini, which I use too, and say, hey, who's got the best car? Who's got the best this? The people that have the most social media are going to get the best response.
It's called a combination of what's called brand theater. So brand theater was just taking a dealership and realizing that everything we do at a dealership, we're on stage 24/7. Well, it's not just we're on stage to our customers and our employees and our community and the OEM, but now we're on stage for AI. So brand theater is a combination of your reviews, everything generative SEO can find out about you, and now everything social. And all it's trying to do is give us an opinion and make you the choice.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because experts, what's that terminology, Michael? Go ahead and say it. It's about expert intelligence, right?
Yeah, it's EEAT.
EEAT.
Put in that into Google and learn about you're going to be or not an expert, experience, authoritativeness, or trustworthiness. All three have got to be inside your now, current, and future content. Because if it's not, there's a crisis with AI right now, and Russell can attest to this. Is there's so much slop?
Yeah.
Okay. There's so much resources being gobbled up by the large language platforms, the AI platforms, and it's giving you generic information. If you are employing the EEAT, you're going to be up at the top when somebody says to either Google or to a large language like ChatGPT, show me the most reputable car dealership in Atlanta. And if you don't have that content, you are invisible.
What's the other E? It's expert, and what's the other E?
Experience.
Experience. Okay, that's what I
Experience,
thought.
expertise, authoritativeness,
Okay.
and trustworthiness. Just Google EEAT and you'll learn about it. And now where you go with it, you can do it yourself, but nobody has time.
Right.
You're doing what you're doing now.
It's hard because you need to do at least 2,000 words in a post or a blog. And it can be duplicate content to an extent, but it has to also match your, to an extent. You really don't want plagiarism there. So you want to use a plagiarism tool. But then you need to do a minimal of about 20 a month, and it's only relevant for 20 days to 30 days. So I mean, it's not like it, and you know, it's indexing everything. It only indexes a couple pieces of it, and it still has to find a match to what you do that you're the answer. So if you want to test it, you just go to Google Maps, and it says in there to ask a question about this location, and you ask it: do you fix transmissions? Do you finance cars? Do you help first-time buyers? Do you do whatever question? If it can't answer that in there, then that means your generative SEO sucks.
Right.
But the only way you beat that is that, and here's the problem. You can beat AI and you can beat SEO to a point right now simply by spending $50,000 a month at pay-per-click. That doesn't make you efficient though, but it still will bypass it. So you can do a $5,000 SEO package and get found a lot more and get a lot more impressions and be indexed better to be found. That's great. But if you don't do your social media with it and you don't keep up your reputation, and then you don't handle your structure and your process and your merchandising and marketing of your inventory, so you have to do all that. That sucks.
Right.
But the only way you beat that is.
Yeah, I mean, just look at what happened at the Super Bowl with the alternative halftime show. I mean, there's a good example of just people being able to market a completely different show to people at a live show at an event. I mean, that was a game changer for not only marketing but also content generation.
Speaking
Like know
about
your
game
audience.
changer,
Yeah.
Christian
Yeah.
had the best
Very
Las
cool.
Vegas business cards.
Very
Thank
cool.
you, sir.
Yeah, very cool.
And David, props for the Bears jacket. I love it.
By the way, does anybody know what the viewership was on the Turning Point? So at one point I saw that
25 million. 25 million, I heard.
25 million.
So they got more
okay.
viewership than the Super Bowl got on the
Yeah.
halftime show.
They sucked off that much off of somebody else's.
Yeah, so the
opportunity.
advertisers aren't happy. Put it that way.
Yeah, they're gonna ask for their money back.
Legitimately, they got more than the regular one.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Not only that, the FCC
Wow.
going after that Bad Bunny. Because when they
Interesting.
translated what he said, you can't do that on broadcast TV.
Well, and
I'll tell you, the Turning Point one was really good.
Yeah.
It was really well done.
Kid
Well,
Rock was safe from the FTC because his mouth didn't line up with his words. So
Oh my God.
I didn't
Yeah.
see
Well, you know
one
what? You
second.
can
Was he
go
lip
live on
syncing that? Was he
broadcast.
really lip syncing that?
Jeff, my mouth hasn't lined up with my
Broadcast
words in
rules
real
are
life for
different.
20 years.
Yeah.
Was that a lip
last-
sync though? Really?
yeah, it was.
Oh,
I know it was off, but I
He
didn't.
said it wasn't.
Oh, it was off bad then.
well, last week we were on locally with Rhonda. And Rhonda, do you want to tell them why I'm wearing the hoodie?
Because I had mine on?
Yeah, but you know, it's warm now.
Mike Larkin, the
Because
gangster.
you're hiding, because you're too lost?
Oh, no, but good one.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, okay,
I'm wearing the hoodie in honor of the best live coach is not getting in the
Because
Hall
you're
of
from
Fame.
the hood.
I am from the hood. I'm wearing my hoodie. Anyway, I digress.
Hey, Mike, don't be embarrassed by a loss. You got to be there to lose it, and you guys were there, so congratulations.
Well, thank you for that, but yeah, what a drubbing.
What a boring game.
Denver should have been there.
Sustained,
For the first half
sustained,
and Bunny, I was
That's
just
right.
jumping out the window.
sustained viewers were 6.1 million simultaneously, and the views were so last year the biggest views ever for the Super Bowl were 133.5 million. This year I don't know.
It was 127, I think.
Yeah, 127 this year I think.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, and I'm not knocking New England and I'm not knocking Seattle, the pool wasn't as big. The biggest star team in the last 5-6 years has been the Kansas City Chiefs. They were what the Patriots were, 10 years ago when Brady was there. And Philadelphia has as rabid of fans as anybody, just as rabid as Seattle or anywhere else. So it was more of a marquee thing. This is like when it's the World Series and the Yankees and the Dodgers or the Mets are in it.
Larry, you know rabid is
More caution.
it's a disease, right? You understand that being rabid is a disease, right?
I do.
Okay,
The
good.
only thing I'll caution on is if you're going by Nielsen ratings.
Yeah.
Nielsen ratings is now being calculated differently than in years past. because of the twist over
Yeah.
to more streaming services.
Yeah.
So part of it is a guesstimated accelerator.
Do you know why, Alec? Because they hired a dealership controller, and he tried to do it the same way you do a statement at the end of the year. Wait a minute, how did this get here and that get there?
It sounds more like unapplied labor coming back to haunt service.
There we go. There we go. Yeah.
Hey, one thing I did want to mention, I was in Vegas all weekend. Poor me, the way my flights worked out, I was in there all weekend. I missed the entire Super Bowl, which I was kind of ticked off at one point, but after I heard of how it went down and all the controversy with Bad Bunny and whatnot, I'm kind of glad I have no opinion and didn't see it at all. But because of that, I stuck around and watched the Fueling the Future NADA panel. And it was kind of interesting. I guess what I would just tell you is it was dealers in there. That's all that was there. And there was a lot of international too, because I think their planes must have left late or something. But dealers are clueless, as you probably know. They're clueless when it comes to AI. I mean, they were asking them, what questions should we even ask? So they were having a really struggle with that. Another thing that I took out of there that I thought was interesting is one of the J.D. Power surveys said that one of the number one things that puts customers at ease is letting them know your exact process when they come in, if they know ahead of time, knowing that process. And the other thing I thought that was interesting, number two, was that they spoke to a manager. Those were two big, obviously things. And we know those, but I thought that was interesting. And then last but not least, this other little tidbit that I did not know when I went to a workshop on hiring smarter was 41% of Generation Zers researching through YouTube, about the dealership. So if they're going to want to work there, they go on and see kind of what culture's like and what's going on. So one suggestion was maybe on your career page, you put some more, cultural type of things showing how you guys are at your dealership. So just a couple random things out of my notes. So
Christian, two things. First of all dealers can solve all hiring problems if they just put a picture of me on their website. Let's not even discuss that. The second thing is, I'm not kidding now, let's focus on how stilted and stunted our progress is, because the biggest complaint at dealerships 30 years ago is the same one now, how long it takes. You'd figure by now we'd be a little smarter about streamlining the process.
Yeah.
You
just can't get it.
Still on?
Christian, save that conversation for Friday, because I've got some questions. Those are excellent points that you picked up, and I'm always curious of, the dealers don't know. So I want to talk about who are the key people in the dealerships that know that we can go and visit and try to get them to explain it to the owners better than what's happening right now.
Did Doug leave us?
It was unbelievable.
No, I'm here.
Doug, you mentioned to me when we talked that there's how many, was it 100 and some odd pages are filled out, or the contracts? There was a bunch of stuff that was filled out more or less with one click.
Oh, you mean in the process?
Yes.
Yeah, basically every document that can be signed electronically is done quickly. Yeah.
So
by the way, Doug, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I was just going to talk about shortening the process, man. Who can do it if Doug and Amazon can't?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, the one clicker. And by the way, the Amazon booth was cool because you guys had a cappuccino bar, but then you turned into a regular bar at night. So I mean, that was a brilliant. You hit both sides of it.
Yep. So yep. You got jacked up on coffee and then got cooled down on drinks. Yep.
So in summary, what I had written down were the 4 takeaways. Video was a buzz still. Culture and CSI. The password was better CSI. That was the should have been better Wi-Fi. Should have been the password, but their Wi-Fi password was better CSI. And then lead management was still big, and then AI, of course. So those were my 4 that I say were the big things that people were talking about.
Mm-hmm. I look forward to talking more about it on Friday.
Sure.
I think the other thing, and this word was bandied about a while ago in this conversation, which was data. I think that one of the byproducts of this AI is kind of analogous to what happened in COVID. So when COVID hit, we all figured out, hey, there's a better way to buy anything. I think what AI is going to do is going to open up dealers' eyes to, man, there's a ton of data out there that I'm not tapping into that perhaps AI will help me tap into. I mean, I look at the AI and I think there's two sides to it. One of it is strictly operational, which is like doing tasks that people could do easier, communicate with the customer. But the other is just the data aggregation that you could utilize for marketing, and you combine that with like a robust CDP. Yeah, dealers could really take the dealers that really dive into it could really make some headways.
There's gold in their CRMs and they need to mine it, and they keep on bypassing it. And that's where they should be focusing on right there.
And guys, it's 8. Man, we can't thank you enough. The information that was passed around tonight was great. Eddie, please join in anytime you like, man. You are always a welcome guest, and everyone else on the show. We appreciate you. We respect you. We enjoy it. Christian, I'll look forward to seeing you on Friday. Gary, Christian sat next to me at dinner and put his arm around and said we should do some training together. That's how good me and him hit it off.
Wonderful. Love to hear that.
Everybody stay healthy. We love you. We appreciate you. Christian, we'll see you on Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard. Everybody else will be seeing and talking to you. And Eddie, keep me apprised, please.
Will do, sir. Thanks for everything, Larry.
Stay healthy. Thank you so much.
You guys.
Thank you for helping the industry get better today live.
Tony, I hope you